start the recording in a moment. Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Hassan Harris. I am the CEO of Citizens Committee for New York City. We are so delighted to have these forums because these forums show that your local elected officials care about you. These forums show that every New Yorker can make a difference, and that when we band together, that we can make amazing things happen to ensure that our city thrives. I am so thankful that Councilmember Sanchez finds it not robbery to partner with us, and that she's amplifying all the things that are possible when you just share your big dreams and your big hopes for your community with her and with us. And together, New York City will continue to thrive. If you don't remember anything else, I want you to remember two things. Check out citizensnyc.org. citizensnyc.org. That's our website where you can find out all that you'd want to know about our organization. You can connect, you can find opportunities for funding, you can learn how to get greater capacity to do some of the dreams and the great work and organizing and bringing people together that you can do in your community. And the second thing that I want you to understand is, you deserve it. You deserve opportunities to lead. That leading is not beyond you. And we hope that you share your ideas for leadership with us, because together we're strong. And I'm just so grateful that we have a partner in Councilmember Sanchez that recognizes the power of the people in her district and across the Bronx and across New York City. So Councilmember Sanchez, thank you so much. Oops, you're on mute.
All right. No, thank you so much, Dr. Harris. This is actually the second time we're doing this together. So we've had some practice, but to all of you who are here in person in the room and everybody who could join online or who's watching on YouTube, this is really a partnership that is born from talking with the community, right? Speaking with all of you. In order for the city council to give and provide funding to individuals or nonprofits, there is a huge process, right? There you have to have a 501c3, you have to have received funding before, which kind of is a little counterintuitive, because if you've never received it, then how can you receive funding? But there's a lot of different rules in order for the city's dollars to actually reach the smallest, most community level folks that we have. And so this partnership with Citizens Committee for New York City gives us the flexibility to actually fund some of the things that we really know are important for the community, and have that money go directly to you, right? So they're gonna walk through the fine print during this presentation. Dr. Branch is going to walk through the presentation and give you the details. But the idea is that with this partnership with Citizens Committee, which is something that they're doing all across the city, I was able to allocate just a little bit more for District 14 so that you all can receive, it's a competition. So between $500 and $3,000 for local projects. It could be for a small business, it could be for a mural painting, it could be for a basketball event, it could be for a lot of different things. So I thank you so much. I'm excited to be doing this again this year and to continue to do it into the future, because for me, this is the most important thing, right? Is to make sure that your leadership in the community is shining through, and that our neighborhoods are getting what they need to be getting, which is your leadership and all of the visions that you have for what we can do to activate. So with that, thank you so much. And I'm going to introduce Dr. Branch to lead us off with the presentation.
And as Dr. Branch is stepping up, I really want to emphasize that your council member is leading as she has an expanding family through the midst of a pandemic. She is there for you. And Councilmember Sanchez, gracias por todo, porque, bueno, es muy importante para la comunidad.
Gracias. No lo dije en español, ¿lo debo de decir en español?
Sí.
¿No? Sí. Bueno, dinero para ustedes, apliquen.
Seguro, hazlo.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the presentation.
And I do, my baby's actually outside and he's crying because he wants some milk. So I'm gonna go and give some of that to him. So I will see you all later. Thank you, Dr. Branch.
Thank you. All right. So again, just echoing the thanks of our CEO, Thank everybody for joining us today. So going to get us kicked off with the presentation. Going to share my screen and just want to emphasize that you can get anywhere from $500 to $3,000 to work on a project that you identify in your community as it relates to improving quality of life. So we know as a people, we can do a whole lot with a little bit, right? All right, so gonna share the screen and then get the presentation started. Okay. All right, so hopefully everybody can see this, including me. Here we are from the beginning. Okay. All right, so I'm feeling like I'm back in my professorial days. So here we are. We are at the kickoff event of the 2023 Citizens Committee for New York City Grant Information Session and Season. And you all are the first to attend the first information session. So give yourselves a hand. All right. And again, we are grateful to our partners in Councilmember Sanchez and Assemblymember Joyner. So here we go. Boom. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about who Citizens is, who they are presently, who they will be in the future. We've had the introduction. We will talk about the grant overview of the All-In Neighborhood Grant, which is a fancy way of saying community leader grants. And then we will talk about what makes good civic engagement projects. And we'll move to questions and next steps and tell you some other things as well. All right, here we go. So a brief history about Citizens Committee for New York City. So as one of the nation's oldest microfunding organizations since 1975, Citizens has provided support to community leaders such as you seated here and you who are joining us via Zoom and YouTube. And Citizens has provided support to the community leaders on the front lines of change in your neighborhoods and in your communities through a wide range of programs, projects, and activities that positively impact right where you live. And so thank you for that. And we have invested in you, these change makers, who step up every day to strengthen the health of your communities across the 5 boroughs, right? So we have a whole bunch of folks here, and I bet if I asked each and every one of you, what is it that you're doing to improve life in your community, you'd be able to tell me some wonderful stories. And so our mission has been to help New Yorkers, and especially those in low-income areas, come together to improve the quality of life in their neighborhood. And so in short, we have always been all in for New York City, always throughout our organization's history. And so this is a slide of when Citizens first got started. There was an ad that was put in the paper calling for New York City residents to step up to help New York City. So if you know anything about 1975, it was a very trying time economically in our city. And the federal government had essentially turned its back on the city, told it to drop debt. And so as New Yorkers, they did back in 75, similar to the way we do today, is we roll up our sleeves, we come together, and we make a difference. So our current work. So again, we are all in for New York through multiple channels. And those channels do a few things. They deepen community awareness of the work that you're doing and the projects that you're engaging in. The channels help to enhance leadership development within the neighborhoods, right? So for one thing, there have been grant winners that Citizens has granted that have gone on to elected office, or who have gone on to leadership roles in New York City agencies. So you start small and you think big and you go far, right? There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, how do you go?
Alone.
You go alone. But if you want to go far, how do you go? You go together. And that's what we have always done here at Citizens. The third way that we build these channels is through building collaborative partnerships to lift up and to scale your collective work, right? And we support ongoing neighborhood efforts to address quality of life issues identified by you, the community residents, and who have also stepped up in times of crisis, whether like in the pandemic, COVID-19, or like in the hurricane that we had last year, Ida. Right? And we strive to help New Yorkers rebuild and reimagine the city, or reimagine New York City in a way that benefits every one of us, right? And that's what we do here at Citizens. Additionally, we amplify your voices across neighborhoods about what is needed and what is being done to make New York City work for everyone. And I'm going to put a plug in right now for CitizensNYC's All In for New York City week, which is happening next week, right? And I'm going to particularly plug October 19th, which is our Impact Summit, which is a one-day conference where we are coming together virtually to brainstorm ideas about how we can have a positive impact in our neighborhoods. I know that high on the list of concerns in New York City is public safety and community safety. And we're going to be talking about the factors that contribute to having safer communities. And how do we know what is on your mind? Well, I'm glad you asked. We survey you, right? We conduct surveys and we host forums and we bring people across our city to generate solutions to tough problems. We had an idea summit last year, and that the footage of all of those panels are on the Citizens YouTube channel. And like I mentioned, next week we're having an Impact Summit. And so we really want to make sure those who are at the helm of leadership are hearing your voices, right? We believe that you know what is best for you. And as a result, no one can articulate it for you like you can. Do you agree?
Yes.
All right. So now we're going to move into the grant overview program. And tonight we're talking about the All-In Neighborhood Grant, which is essentially the community leader grant. So all of you are community leaders, yes?
Yes.
All right. How about you online? Y'all are community leaders? All right, I hear you. I hear you. Even though I can't hear you, I hear you. All right. So Citizens awards micro grants to everyday New Yorkers such as yourselves, and those grants are used to help improve the quality of life in your neighborhoods through our annual grant cycle. And today, we're going to talk about those grants. You can get them from $500 to $3,000, depending on your project, and it's used to community build, be civically engaged, and really to just help you, those resident-led groups, to address the issues, again, that you identify as important to you. And so we're focusing on supporting the projects that brings residents together, right? So we just talked about that African proverb about if we want to go far, we go together. And so in terms of the project that you envision, it should be a project of 2, at least 3 people, right? How is the project that you are envisioning going to engage community, right? And so that's what we're really interested in knowing. And so those grassroots leaders, especially in the low-income communities, know and have what it takes to roll up their sleeves and to make change to boost civic engagement, neighborhood wealth, and community health. And so here is the eligibility criteria. How do you know if you are eligible to apply for one of these micro grants? Well, right here are the eligibility criteria. If you are a resident-led group that has a budget of $150,000 or less, public schools are exempt from that, you are eligible. You must implement your project in one of the 5 boroughs. You don't have to implement them all across New York City. One borough will do. And, you know, if you're a small group or a cohort, you know, right in your neighborhood, right on your block is a good place to start. You have to demonstrate the element of community engagement, right? How is it that you're going to get the rest of the folks in your block, in your community, in your district, in, you know, I'm just going up in the increments to get engaged and get behind and help you carry out and implement the project. Projects of individuals are not eligible. So if you have a brilliant idea, that's awesome. But then take that brilliant idea and rally your crew to help you brainstorm about how you're going to do it, what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how much it might cost you to do it, right? So, and then non-religious initiatives, well, religious initiatives are not funded, right? Citizens is nonpartisan, and so your project, if it's religious in nature, it won't be funded, it's not eligible. And neither are fraternal or partisans or partisan organizations. All right, moving on. And so we have awarded more than $500,000 in all in neighborhood grants to 137 grassroots groups. This is, we've probably up this a little for the 2020 season. And this is an example of one of the groups that have gotten a grant from us, Bronx Sunshine Garden in East Tremont. This is another example of a organization that has gotten a grant from us located in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. So I want to move into some grant writing best practices. But before I do that, let me just talk a little bit about some past grants so you can get a sense of what some of the things are that we have funded, right? And so we have funded neighborhood gardens, right? So anybody here into gardening? Okay, so if you have a community garden, you should definitely consider applying for a grant, right? And green space is important to the community, right? Particularly in low income areas, because when you have green spaces, they pull out of the air negative environment, right? And so gardens, anyone? Absolutely. If you are interested in doing a project that helps to ensure that LGBTQ teens feel safe, you should apply for a grant from us, right? There is major violence against that population. Are you interested in running a food pantry or delivering meals to feed the hungry? Because food insecurity is still a real thing. You should apply for a grant. If you want to clean up neighborhood sidewalks, local parks, or green spaces, again, you get the idea. If you are trying to prevent violence against Asian Americans and other targeted communities, definitely consider applying for one of our grants. Any artists in the room, virtually or in person. If you are an artist and want to do a visual art or a musical project with resident volunteers, we welcome you, right? Yes.
I'm working on something now. I haven't really like would a docu-series be included in something like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. If you're interested in helping new immigrants settle, settle and learn, and we know what is happening around the immigrant issue in New York City and other sanctuary cities. If you are interested in offering workshops on career skills, stress management, or college prep. So those are just some ideas, right? And this is by no means an exhaustive list of possibilities that you can do. You know what is needed in your communities. So, just look around and see what needs to be done. Get a group of your colleagues and friends and neighbors together and start brainstorming it out. All right. Oh, go back. All right, so best practices for grant writing. Let me see how I'm doing on time. All right. So CitizensNYC funds neighborhood projects, again, that contribute to community well-being, right? That contribute to civic engagement, that contribute to social connections, that contribute to intergenerational interaction, that contribute to neighborhood-driven decision-making, that contribute to leadership development and to tackling unexpected crises that disrupt life in community. All right. So let's talk about some grant writing best practices. So at Citizens, we understand that you may not be professional grant writers, and that's okay. That is okay. We are not looking for a grant that is written by a professional grant writer. We want to hear your authentic voice in your grant application. A professional grant writer may not know what is happening in community because a professional grant writer may not live in community, right? And so we want to hear your authentic voice coming through in your grant application. We want to know what your origin story is, right? That's another way of saying we want to know about your group, right? What caused you to decide to come together as a group? What successes have you had if you are an established group, or what successes are you hoping to have? What are some of the goals that you plan to achieve as a group? Right, so even though we're not looking for you to be professional grant writers, we are looking for you to be thoughtful in your responses in your application. When it comes to the project description, we definitely want to know where you plan on carrying out your project. So just remember, the project has to be implemented in at least one of the 5 boroughs. It doesn't have to be implemented in every borough. So where is it that you plan on implementing your project? How is your project going to be structured? Is it virtual? Is it on site? Is it hybrid? Is it several weekends? Is it a weekend? Is it every day for X number of weeks? And then talk to us about what you hope the outcomes will be, right? And while you are not able to predict that with 100% accuracy, putting some forethought into this application, you can tell us what the outcomes are that you are hoping to have. So for example, if you are trying to do a garden, what are some of the things that you plan for this garden? What are some of the outcomes that you want? Do you want to teach children about the importance of where food comes from? You know, that could be an outcome. Do you want to teach neighbors about, I guess, medicinal properties of vegetables or something like that? But what are some of the outcomes that you are hoping to achieve with your project? And if you don't achieve them all, that's not a problem, but we just want to hear your voice in this. Did you have a question?
No.
Okay, all right, cool.
Can I ask a question on their behalf?
Sure.
So if people wanted to do something like a Halloween event,
Mm.
right? Something that's like community engagement, how would you phrase that, the outcome?
So what would be, so here's my question to you. What would be the goal of the Halloween event?
To keep the kids, oh, sorry,
No, go ahead, as you should.
okay.
Leslie, sorry to interrupt. It is a little hard to hear the questions from the audience in person. Could you please repeat the questions?
Okay, so the question is, can you say it again, Sam?
So my question was, for people who, let's say they want to throw a Halloween event, right? And it's to keep the kids busy, community engagement, I think like they said, kind of provide an after-school opportunity for children.
All right, so the question was, if someone wanted to do a Halloween event, how could that be framed? And so my response was, what is the goal of the project? And then
The goal is to make sure the children are safe, get safe candy.
right,
To keep them like in the neighborhood, because now just going anywhere is just really dangerous. So just to make sure that our kids are safe and they have the things that they need for Halloween, a safe environment.
right. Yes,
I was gonna say, it makes the community come together with the support and the foundation of the children being together, knowing each other, because we all live in the same neighborhood. Like she said, it's real dangerous out here. So we want to keep our kids in this community safe, and when it get dark, it's time for them to go upstairs, not them be knocking on people's door asking for candy and things like that, because it's real dangerous around here. We need
But it's
support.
not only for our community.
It's for
we're
everybody
welcoming
community.
all
We working,
children.
we
So
welcome
we're not
all
gonna
of
keep it on us.
No,
Right.
We're
we
going to
welcome
it
all.
for all the children.
Yeah.
Any children coming by.
Yeah,
We've told people, we've been on Fordham Road.
yeah, it's like a support
We've
unit.
we've been everywhere.
Yeah, everybody
we
comes
made
out
flyers.
there. Yes.
We're doing
It's
it
not
now.
just for our community,
It's for all
children.
communities. It's
Oh,
for
all
all
right.
We want to
communities.
welcome everyone.
Yes.
Because that's, it's not safe.
well, I
anymore.
mean, and to your point that you so eloquently stated, the goal is community safety, centering the children,
Mhm.
right? It's community safety, centering the children, giving them a safe environment in which to celebrate a holiday,
Holiday,
right? And so that would be the frame, right? And so how would you frame that? What would be your action plan, right? And so you guys already know
Yeah.
because you're doing it,
Mhm.
right? So Dee, was that okay? Were you able to hear that?
Yes, and also thank you for Councilmember Sanchez's office for filling out the question in the chat. I also just wanted to highlight that even though I think the framing sounds great and like the narrative is perfect, I just wanted to highlight that our grant does not sponsor one-day event, and we do not prioritize sponsoring direct services. Meaning, let's say if it's a one-day Halloween celebration, or if it's, let's say, a back-to-school supplies giveaway, one of our funding or grant review eligibility criteria is community engagement. And we look at that both for the time, like the length of time, and also the level, and also the number of people. So to achieve like a higher score on community engagement, we would want to see that this is a project that has a continuous impact. And depending on how many people involved, like if you do a back to school drive or Halloween like toys giveaway, it is like kind of a one-time interaction. However, I totally get that this is probably not what you have in mind, especially you have the local community roots. So in your application, please clearly spell out how this idea came to mind, how you plan to plan and execute this event, how you're hoping that you can potentially track and evaluate your long-term impact. So for example, if you want to say we want to do a Halloween celebration, there will potentially be activities for the kids. There might be a few parents coming together to put together a skit or whatever it is. After the Halloween celebration, we're going to survey our participants, our community residents, and those will help make your application narrative, especially on the community engagement aspect, stronger. So also on the topic of direct services, if you, we lifted our restrictions after the pandemic, so we fund some food pantries, but we would want to see that you're not, it is not a food pantry parachuting in to a community and just provide a service and meet them like once for their lifetime. So if you're like talking about, we want to distribute food or supplies, we want to see that as happening on an ongoing basis, or how you're making more meaningful and less transactional.
Okay, I just would like to say that most Green Garden has held different events for the community. Book bags, hats, scarves, kids paintings, giving out toys, book fairs. One, step at a time. We can only do like one thing at a time. We walk around, we get donations, we make our own flyers. We just need like help, like each like month, just something to do to keep the kids safe and to keep the kids, feeling better about themselves. We had face painting, we had planting, we gave away toys. This lady spends money out of her own pocket, like out of her own pocket to get. We give away food. One
Colleges
thing at a
come
time.
help us in the garden.
One step at a time. So if you need something done on a monthly basis or weekly basis, that could be put into perspective, because some people work and have jobs, but we
Absolutely.
have children
The
and
thing that
we
we
just
do, the days that we do every day in our community garden, mostly not every day, but the 2 days that we are closed, we do invite the community and the children come in.
So
And
then
we
that's how
provide-
you would
we
frame it.
provide,
That's how you would
snacks,
frame
we
it.
provide, liquids, we provide juices. Sometimes we provide food for them, the children.
Games.
Teach them how to grow something. We got activities for them in the garden. That's what we do. Mostly every day, like people, bring their children.
Right.
And we also, this is another thing that we wanted to do, but this is one thing that we wanted to do that we do, but we didn't like put it really out there yet. Like we gather together. Some people come there and we talk about things that's going on in our life.
Mental health.
Mental health.
Yeah.
Because we, women, men, we come in there, we gather, and we socialize, and we learn other people. We deal with other people ethnicity. We come together, we form a family. So as I say with the garden, as the flowers grow, our family grows.
I like
our
that.
community is growing. Because one you add on to another one before you know it. Because we started off with 1 or 2, now we got few.
So there's clearly a way to frame it, right? And to my colleague's point, we do have a formula by which we score the grant applications. So we tend to not fund, as she said, one-off events. So if you can frame it in such a way that demonstrates how you are bringing.
We always providing something for our community conversation.
We even babysit kids there. Yes, I do. I watch kids. Yes. I watch kids. I watch a lot of kids there.
Yes. All right.
even helping people with clothes and stuff like that.
All right. All right, so that concludes the presentation part. Now I do want to, I know that we have a bunch of questions in the chat. So let's see what we've got. Oh, it's a very active chat. Active. All right, here we go. Let me scroll. scroll. Okay,
Here's the first one.
this one here?
Yes.
Okay, so hello, all. Hello. Dear council member, can you please repeat the range of funding you are providing for community projects? And so the range of funding for community projects that Citizens funds ranges from $500 to $3,000. All right. So moving on. Okay. So if anyone has questions, okay, we'll follow up. Hi, thank you for doing this. Will you be providing any documentation via email after the presentation? So Donatella, yes, our plan is to share the recording with the council member, I believe, along with the PowerPoint presentation. And so you will have access to this information. And remember, boom, the application opens on October 17th. So that's next Monday, right? And so there is a pre-screener, which means that there are some questions that you have to answer before you can actually get to the application. And the reason is we don't want you to spend a bunch of time, and I'm exaggerating, filling out the application only to then learn at the end you're not qualified, right? So the pre-screener will ask you, are you, what is your budget? Are you for-profit, and some other things? And once you've answered those questions based on your answers to them, you will be then directed to the application that opens again on October 17th. All right, Sherman. Yes.
Hi, how are you? Excuse me for my lateness. Maybe you went over today. Is this grant solely for 501(c)s or like for-profit or nonprofit organizations only?
So you do not have to be formally registered as a 501c3. You can be a group of residents in a community that wants to address a quality of life issue, and you can apply. All right. Scrolling through more.
I'm sorry, I'm online. I had a quick question.
Yes.
Can you use the money to put towards getting a 510C status?
So I'm going to
was the
say,
question?
so the question is, can you use the grant to apply for the 501c3 fees? And the answer to that is no. And I'm going to ask my colleague Dee to confirm me on that.
Yes, Leslie. So we cannot fund 501c3s filing fee or any litigation fees. To kind of like going back to the general framing that Leslie was talking about, this is for community building and relationship sustaining. So like for those kind of fees, like we cannot fund like consultant fees or like lawyers fees. And there are also questions about, can this fund a artist project like a documentary film? We have funded documentary film projects. However, it is not going to like productions or like paying for the artist. It is more for the community building aspect. For example, if the documentary filmmaker is a resident who want to talk to local residents and gather their stories, we can fund that portion, but we cannot fund a project that has like cameras and tripods and post-production for a documentary film. So not for that kind of fee.
Thank you for that, Dee. I appreciate you. All right, moving through the.
I have a question. If you applied previously for and you got a grant, can you apply for the same program if it's ongoing?
So you can apply every year that we have the grant, and if your project is ongoing, that to me indicates the sustainability and the community engagement aspect. So absolutely.
Thank you.
You know, hopefully it would be in a different phase of the project, so to speak.
Yes.
Yes, I think, sorry to interrupt, Leslie, I think you nailed it. We fund projects, for example, for a community garden. You will probably be applying for similar projects or block associations. That is totally fine. We just want to see a reflection on your past projects. For example, we did raised beds for our garden this year. Next year, we want to do some like seeding infrastructures where we want to get more seedlings. So talking you through what you've learned, how you would like to improve, or this just went super well. Everyone loved our project, so we're going to continue doing it. So we want to see that happening. If you have received the grants from us, we would also want to see that you completed our final reports. So please check on that. We, however, lifted some of that restrictions during the pandemic, and we understand that is a difficult time. So if you want to check in with us about your final reporting, please reach out to us at the grants email on the slide.
All right.
I have a question. I have a statement. My name is Dolina Duzant, and I'm part of the Malcolm X Beautification Group. And I'm gonna put on my video. And what's happening is, we did receive a Citizens Committee for New York City grant last year for our Harlem Green team. Now, to the young lady who posed the question about the nonprofit status, the IRS has a quick form that you can fill out and give your information and give you a temporary nonprofit status, and you have 3 years to complete all the applications and requirements that are needed to be fully recognized as a 501c3. So they have a quick form. The IRS has a quick form where you can get that from them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dolina, I have a quick question. Do you have to pay fees for that?
So if you have
No,
to use
you
that,
do not.
all right.
I'm
but
gonna
the
put
point is-
my information in the chat.
Thank you for that. And the point is that you do not have to be a 501c3. If you are, that's fantastic, but just keep in mind that there is a budget threshold that you will bump up against. And even if you're, a regular why am I thinking 501c3, if you are a group and you're still going to be constrained by those that budgetary ceiling, if you will. But you do not have to be a 501c3 to apply for this grant. All right. Anybody else in Zoom land want to audibly ask a question, or can I scroll through the chat?
Yes, I have a question. My name is Davin Asafo, and I have my own entity which I created called Humane LLC. Right now, I've been using it as a for-profit, but we don't make any money. I just I do a lot of community service and things for the neighborhood, and so that's why I'm here today. I guess my question would be, can I still apply as a business, or do I have to be a group? Like, is it okay if I apply under the LLC, or should I apply as a group?
So thank you for your question and for everything that you do in community. The short answer is no, but we do have a neighborhood business grant that you can apply since you are organized as an LLC. And we will be having a grant information tomorrow for small businesses. So I'm going to direct you to our grant making page and ask you to register for that session for tomorrow. I believe it's being held at 12 noon virtually.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
You are most welcome. Anyone else want to unmute and ask a question? And that goes for you folks.
Hi, it's Donatella. Thanks, Devin, for that information. Can we make the link that you're referencing available to everyone in the group? I'm sure there are a lot of LLCs in here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask if my colleague would be able to pop in the chat the registration link for tomorrow's SBS info session. And I thank you in advance. All right, anybody else want to come on? Y'all should be popping like popcorn. We've got about 10 minutes. Yes.
I have another question. Can I just ask you basically what it is that I want to do, and you tell me if I need to be here, if I need to come tomorrow?
Go ahead.
Is it okay?
So when you say come tomorrow, it's,
I mean, it's virtual tomorrow.
Right.
I'm an LLC,
okay,
so I'm not a organization or a. I want to, I create positive affirmation on emails.
Hmm.
I want to create a curriculum for like an after-school program, maybe,
Okay.
or something that's for the weekend. I'm not exactly sure what route or how or what it is that I need to be doing, but I know that, well, first and foremost, of course, I'm here because I need help and some type of guidance. So I'm not exactly sure what lane that I should be in.
all right. So I'm going to repeat your question, or at least try my best to paraphrase it. And tell me your name.
My name is Leslie Rush.
All right. So Leslie Rush wants to know which lane should she be in? And what Leslie does as an LLC is create positive affirmation notebooks for young girls, and she wants to create an after-school program. So, Leslie, as an LLC, because you are a for-profit business, you would need to attend the NBG, the Neighborhood Business Grant session. And so that's happening tomorrow. But I think what you're doing is awesome. I think everything that you all do is awesome. New York City wouldn't be the awesome place that it is if it weren't for you all. I want to just put that out there. When COVID hit and everybody that could leave was leaving, you all stayed, right? So thank you for that. Appreciate you much. All right. Anybody else here want to say anything in the non-virtual world? No questions? So how'd I do? Did I?
Awesome.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Good job.
On behalf of the citizens, they have groomed me and trained me well. And I couldn't do this without the help of my dear friend and colleague, Andres Pasmino, who knows all the people and was able to put this together and secure this date with citizens and Council Member Sanchez and Assembly Member Joyner. I see that Yoli has her hand up, and I see that Dee has her hand up as well. We're going to ask Yoli to speak first, and then we'll move to Dee.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very good. So I have 3 questions. One is, do we need to hire somebody to do the need assessment that is mentioned in your PowerPoint? I guess it's in the grant. The other question is, maybe I didn't hear well, but can we pay somebody to do a documentary of the work that we're going to be doing? So we're going to do the work for free in a park probably, but we want to document that. Can we use some of the funds to pay somebody to do the recordings and the editing and maybe create a little movie? And the final question is, our main concern is that there is this park close to us that has been closed, and we want to pressure the parks department so they can work on this park. So I guess the funding will be to work on that. So finally, when it's open, we can next year apply to have a bunch of artists performing, because there is an area that we would like to make it like a gathering space, like a placement. So there are my 3 questions.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat Yoli's 3 questions, and I'm going to paraphrase them. The first one is, does Yoli and her group need to hire someone to do what? I didn't catch the first part.
The needs assessment.
Okay, so the answer to that is no. You and your group should be able to sit down and articulate and brainstorm what it is that you need from your perspective, right? We don't want someone coming from outside, I think we call it parachuting in, to tell you what you need. Citizens doesn't do that, and we certainly don't want someone else coming into your community telling you what you need. The second question is, does Yoli need to pay someone to do the work? So I'm going to answer the question, and then I'm going to ask Dee to clarify me if I don't articulate it as eloquently as I could. So can you give someone a stipend for the work that they do? Absolutely. But we do not want to see the the bulk of the money that we would grant you in a grant going to, paying someone. We want to see that money plowed back into the community, right? And so the third question is, the park has been closed. Can you use the money to do something to get the park open? And so I'm not sure if that involves application fees or something like that, but based on my understanding is that we do not fund application fees. And if it's, a matter of speaking with somebody from the Parks Department, Citizens does have relationships with Green Thumb. And so we would be happy to facilitate a connection to you and those folks to help accelerate your conversation. And so now I'm going to hop to D because I see your hand raised, and then we're going to go to Patriana. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
All right, so D first and then Patriana.
Yes, Leslie, I'm actually gonna first just address the questions that you posted, and we'll have Patriana ask her question, and then I'll say my spiel. But to your last question, Yoli, I think Councilmember Sanchez's office has left a comment in the chat, so please also talk to Sanchez's office to see if there's anything that hasn't looked at that they can perhaps work with. And also I would recommend you consult your community boards and also building stronger coalitions. Unless there is a specific programming side to it, we probably won't be able to fund a project to push it. For example, we fund tenant organizing or building coalition. So if there is a kind of community organizing aspect of the work, we'll be able to fund it. However, I saw that you posted about doing artist events or music programming once the park reopens. That is definitely within our funding parameters. So that is a question responding to your last question. To your second question, I think Leslie, you addressed it super well. We can sponsor stipends with our grants. However, given that our grants are capped at $3,000, we want to see that it is mostly spent on programs and also not hiring professionals, meaning that you hire, let's say, a Broadway singer just to sing at your event, or if you hire, let's say, someone from Hollywood. If, let's say, there's a local photographer, videographer, or if they're youth members, students from your neighborhood, or a local community college or high school, they're interested in filming and documenting, for sure. We are happy to approve a budget that has stipends, and I would recommend not going beyond $250 for that artist stipend. So that applies to all kinds of stipends, including if you have a teaching artist, if you have a DJ, a photographer. So all of those can be within our funding parameters, but we really need to look at your full budget to be able to assess. And for the needed assessment, Leslie actually just talked about grant writing best practices, for the general sense. So this is not specific to our application. We kind of to put it in really general terms what other funders might ask. When you actually look at our own application, it is actually pretty straightforward and accessible. So it will have questions about what do you see as success? What did your group do in the past? So we're not looking for you to do a need assessment study, but just as Leslie said, how your groups are coming together to realize the problem. We also have applicants who have gather data from elsewhere. For example, if there is a local report, a news report, or if there is a census data, or if there's I don't know, another environmental justice data or map that shows certain data you want to quote. Let's say, for example, in the Bronx, during the pandemic, how many people were diagnosed with COVID, and how's that compared to other parts of the city and country? So we need to do a physical health therapy or whatever it is. So you can also reference that kind of information in your application. But there are a million ways you can respond to your application questions, and we're not looking for you to be that hit every single mark. So these are only suggestions, and what Leslie and I shared are just ways that we can think of at this moment. That might be what you want to do, but we really leave that to you and your group members to decide.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Patriana, are you still with us?
Yes, ma'am. Just a quick question about the business. I see that there's various different chambers that are involved. Does it matter which one? Because I know you said SBS is tomorrow, but I see that there's the Staten Island, Queens, Brooklyn, Are those also the business grant, or is that just the same kind of info session that we're in now?
No, all of those, the ones with the chambers of commerce, those are the business grants, and you are welcome to attend as many as you want. We're partnering with each of them in the boroughs and specialty chambers as well, but you are free to attend all of them if you want.
Right, I thought this one was also the business session, because when you click on it and you go down to the business session, it says that this session is under the business, and it said Manhattan Chamber. So I was a little surprised that we're talking about what we're talking about here in this one.
I'll have to look into that, but I'm pretty sure this one was specifically calendared with Councilmember Sanchez and Assemblymember Joyner. But definitely, join us tomorrow, Patriana, for the business one. And as I said, you're welcome to attend as many of the others with the chambers of commerce that you want.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay. Who owes who a soda?
We also is involved in another organization called WEPA, which is We Engage in Prevention Awareness, meaning they sent us away for a week with a coalition called CAC to find information, to get information, to learn information, the risk factors of our community with the drugs and the violence. So we got a lot of information that we came back with, how the risk factors and how our community engaged in it, because we met different people, different countries of Wyoming, Mexico, and what's the risk factors in their community with their children. So I was wondering, like, all the information that we brought back, we could always have like once a week or weekend, engaging in information that we can help our young people with engaging in drugs, because that's a very that's a serious thing that's going on right now in our community with the drug factors in the young community. How they, how they're engaging in a lot of people's passing from, the use of illegal drugs.
Right.
So I was wondering, would that be implemented, even though that's, I would have that in the garden, because we always have some type of community meeting that's going on in there.
Yeah.
Because this is our family. We don't even say community, but we say our family. Even Karina Sanchez just offered, this is family, it's extended family.
Yeah, home. We home.
Yes, we home. Let's take off my shoes. Because this is how we communicate with each other, so these people helped us amazingly, and we know them through the ups and downs, because it's a violent community, right? But I've been here most of our lives. A lot of us been here a long time, and the youth, they know me, and they, I understand them. So I do talk to them on a daily basis. So we have a rapport, we have a relationship. So, but so we learned that a lot of risk factors in other communities, or children with self-harm and suicide, and the rates of different things, like some communities are different than other communities, but it was very interesting. So we got a lot of information that we brought back with us that we would want to share with our community, to have meetings, and for us to, for people to come and join, and just, what their thoughts on different situations, how we can prevent these situations. I mean, it's nothing overnight, because everything is baby steps, because you remember, people are used to their comfort. This is what they do on a daily basis. But if we can save one, as we always say, then that would be an amazing thing for us to do. Or I get to one, or, because it's we're in a society where even the parents do engage with their children. So then who do they look for to say that's not right to do? Because that's what their parents do. So they feel like it's okay for them to do it. So we just want some information to give them. It could be an outlet, like they could come here and they get information, like somebody to talk to, or just eventing, or.
So again, it's necessary. It's community engagement, and so family, y'all are gonna have to rally around and figure out how to frame it in such a way that it meets the criteria to get the grant, right? So on what day? October 17th. Oh, online. So the, yeah, online. All right.
I was gonna, you said you are from Citizens where? Where are they from?
You mean like
Yeah, I'm
who
saying.
are my parents?
No.
Because that's where I'm
No,
from.
I'm saying, all your information from grants, it comes from where?
Citizens Committee for New York City.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know, because I didn't hear it in the
Oh,
beginning.
okay.
I got a question for you, but it's later.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Okay.
hold on, I
Yes.
just want to be mindful of everyone's time.
Yes.
Christian, I know you didn't ask a question, so I want to give you time to ask a question. Do we have anybody else in the chat?
Dee looks like she has her hand up in one other person, but yeah, we're at time or slightly over. So,
This is for us to sit down and talk about.
Okay, so-
our community. All right?
Christian, did you have
Yeah,
something?
I'd like to know if to do the application at a specific time or.
Okay, so the application opens on October 17th. Here's a great question. And we have a first priority deadline, which is, I think it's November 16th. Dee, am I right on that?
Yeah, so let's see, actually, let me, give me one second. That is a great question. I also saw a question about grant timeline. We have 3 deadlines, 2 priority deadlines, and 1 final deadline. So give me one moment for me to pull up the information. We'll be posting this on our website next week. Once the application goes live, you should be able to see our recordings, our grant FAQs, a sample application. So if you have not written a grant before, you want to see what we are looking for in application, please read the sample application. Our application is also available in English and Chinese, so please check them out. There will be a document that talks about grant timeline. I just want to highlight that our grant application actually has 2 parts. So October 17th, you're going to see the first part. And then you will be invited to submit a supplemental application within 3 months of you submitting the first application. So the timeline will give you more details. So basically remember that you hit submit after your first application. Please be on the lookout for another email. There's a short supplemental application that will follow up. There will be more information on the website, so I won't bore you with more of the details. But the 3 deadlines, November 16th at 12 p.m., January 30th at 12 p.m., and the final deadline is May 12th at 10 a.m. So these are the deadlines for the first round application. So we encourage you to apply early because funding can be limited. We also have our own funding channels, but this process is quite competitive. So I would encourage you now just go talk to your neighbors and group members and start drafting the application. And the timeline will also share when we will be announcing, but for the most part, we are making updates of your grant statuses in February, May, and August, depending on when you submit your application. So let's say if you actually get into the first round, you might hear an update in February. If you do not apply until the last deadline, which is May 12th, you probably won't hear from us until August. So it depends on when you submit your application and our fundraising processes. So you may get a notification in February saying that we're considering you for our future rounds because we're still fundraising. So all of this information will be on our website. So please check back next week. And we'll also include that in our follow-up email so you won't lose it.
Thank you, Dee. And so definitely keep your eye on our website. Sooner the better to get your application in. And we look forward to receiving your applications and learning about the exciting and very necessary projects that you all will be implementing. Devin, we're gonna let you be the last question and then we're gonna close out. You're on mute.
Thank you for that, Ms. Branch. I have 2 questions actually. They should be rather fast. If I wanted to apply for a grant, I realized earlier you said you can't do it for a 1-day event. It would be a grant for helping the homeless or wanting to feed the homeless on a continuous basis, would that be something that that I could use the funding for?
So it is, but again, you would have to frame it in such a way that it doesn't appear that it's not just a direct service, and it, you know, really play up the community engagement event, right? How are you going to engage the community in your project, and how will your project be sustained?
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. And my last question is, so if someone has an LLC like myself, and however, someone else applied for the grant and I was still on their group, is that allowed?
So we're going to do due diligence, right? Because we want to make sure that what people present to us is on the up and up. And so if you're an LLC applying for this grant, that's not going to work. But if you are part of an actual group that is either nonprofit or that is community resident led, then that would be okay. But what we would discourage is a group applying and then funneling the money, as it were, to an LLC, because it would,
Okay.
in essence, be taking money away from a community project.
Of course, I understand that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So listen, I'm going to thank you all very much for attending tonight and for being so attentive and asking such wonderful questions. On behalf of our CEO, Dr. Rasan Harris of Citizens Committee for New York City, and also on behalf of Council Member Purina Sanchez and Assembly Member Latoya Joyner, thank you so very much. We look forward to getting your applications, and have a good night.